get ready to go ahead and get started. All right, here we go. How we looking for a moon? Full moon in the house. The Village of El Portal first budget hearing for 2023-2024 fiscal year is called to order on Tuesday, September the 12th at 7:06 p.m. We're going to stand for a moment of meditation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. May you have roll call, please?
Roll call, Mayor Nickerson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Perella.
Here.
Councilperson Erbom.
Present.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Councilperson Martin.
Present.
Also present for the record, Janice Jacoby, Village Clerk. Christia Liu, Village Manager, won't be in. Joseph Geller, Village Attorney, and the CFO. You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Do you have a motion to approve the agenda? It's pretty straightforward. Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do you have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Martin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing none. Good and welfare. This right here, if anybody wants to come up and say anything about the budget at all, there's another good and welfare in the back. And when we get into it, you also have a chance to speak if you want to. Shout out and good to see our District 3 County Commissioner's Office. Hardeman representatives are here. Mr. Barfield, Ms. Augustine, always good to see you all here. If there's anything you guys want to say, we appreciate it. But if you're just here to visit, you're always welcome. You guys are family here, so we appreciate you. It's all good. All right, you all. Moving right along to the agenda items. The first is the ad valorem. Attorney Geller, if you can read that into the record, please.
Yes, Mayor. Okay. Yes, Mayor. A resolution of the Mayor and Village Council of the Village of El Portal, Florida, of Miami-Dade County, Florida, adopting the final levying of ad valorem taxes of 8.300 mils, which is more than the rolled back rate of 7.0257 mils by 18.14% for the Village of El Portal of Miami-Dade County for fiscal year 2023-2024. Providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. We're not raising the taxes at all, you guys. The taxes haven't been raised at all, ever. For years we've dropped, but we've not raised. So no, we're not raising the taxes at all. With that being said, any questions or comments? If not, do I have a motion to approve the resolution? Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Martin. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call, please?
Roll call, Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Councilperson Erbom.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perella.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to the second resolution. Attorney Geller, you can read that into the record.
Yes, Mayor. A resolution of the Mayor and Village Council of the Village of El Portal, Florida, of Miami-Dade County, Florida, adopting and approving the annual operating budget of $4,159,647 for fiscal year 2023-2024, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I know with the budget, you guys, there was an outstanding question when it came to the CFO's salary. If you guys want to go to that, look at it, see what it is, and whatever questions or comments you guys have with that. And if there's anything else you guys wanted to bring up, just go ahead and jump in. The floor is the council's. That's on the administration and finance page in case anybody's looking for it. Where it says contracted accountant, you guys.
Mayor, it doesn't look like there's any comments. Can we go forward?
That's a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Motion by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, second by Councilperson Martin. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Yes.
Councilperson Urban.
No.
Vice Mayor Perella.
No.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-2.
Thank you very much. Moving on, you guys. The next item is good and welfare. Anybody that has anything to say about anything at all, you're free to come up and speak about anything at all. The millage rate? It's a supermajority? All right, so that being the case, if we need a supermajority, we need at least four confirmations on it. So that would mean that either Vice Mayor Perella or Councilperson Urban state what you feel is the reason why you voted no, and maybe they can come to a compromise. If it can't, and we need a supermajority, and we can't decide on that supermajority tonight, then we would have to reschedule and come back for another first budget hearing. So Vice Mayor Perella, Councilperson Urban, anyone of you want to jump in and say why you voted no, and see if we can come to a negotiation or a compromise with what you.
Here, I can start. Am I on a time limit?
Go ahead.
I mean, just want to respect the time, that's all. I'll start my own time. Okay, so I voted no because specifically, I am not satisfied with the salary for the accountant services. So, you know, the question becomes, well, why didn't you speak up and say anything? And the answer comes back, I did, I voted no. So, that specifically is my issue. I feel strongly that in the circumstances that we have acquired the current CFO, I feel very strongly that almost extreme diligence is required to move forward with any type of permanent resolution to accountant services. I feel that, you know, as stated by the CFO the other evening at the meeting previous last week, I think that at least members of the council, the attorney, the manager, the clerk, and the CFO are all acutely aware of how close we truly were to potentially, I will say this into the microphone, losing our village. Am I incorrect in considering the gravity at which Tallahassee let us know we were on the brink of losing control of our village because it became demonstrable that perhaps our village was not capable of governing itself financially, fiscally, specifically? Am I out of line in thinking that the gravity of that was as serious as I just outlined? Mr. Mayor, I see you seem to have an answer.
I call both of that no, Councilperson Urban. If you're saying that when previous to when CFO Tuberville got here,
Correct.
and when we first got in, yeah, we were getting letters and we lost a
We
lot
could've-
of money. And
We
we're,
could, if we had not caught it in time,
Yeah.
we could have potentially lost control of our own village. Is that
yes,
correct?
yes, they were
Okay.
saying, yeah, they were saying that.
Here's to, now the road splits. We do owe a debt of gratitude to our current CFO, without doubt, unequivocally. We absolutely owe a debt of gratitude to our present CFO.
And if I can, Councilperson Urban, really
Yes.
quickly, what Councilperson Urban is talking about is very true, and what he was talking about is from the previous administration, when I came into power, what Tallahassee was doing is they were saying that they were going to come in and take us over financially the way they did the Opalaka years ago, and they were going to take over all of the village El Portal and the way operation and all that type of stuff, and they were threatening with that, and they were close to it because of what happened in the previous administration in the money situations. Go ahead, Councilperson.
Okay,
Urban.
so that, I suppose, is my point. It's not, my vote on no is not a critique of our present CFO. Please do understand that it is not a critique of the present CFO. It is more of a critique of the process of how we are arriving at a 33% raise as discussed. So there was many factors involved in terms of was the scope of work fully understood at the beginning. We had a combative, not even a participatory, but a combative former CFO who would not contribute not 1 ounce of anything to the effort, right? So that was unanticipated, as we discussed last, right? So I could eventually be okay with the salary that is printed here on the present copy. However, the process by which we've arrived at this is my concern. So, you know, I don't know where that correction lies, but in terms of, you know, I feel like if we arrive at a solution into the following fiscal year, as I said last meeting, I do think that when it comes time to solidify a contract, understand full scope, have done true due diligence in making sure we are in the best possible situation, specifically regarding accounting services, we can make, I have no doubt, we can make that adjustment under contract in the coming fiscal year. So that's my succinct statement, I guess.
Thank you very much, Councilman Irwin. I'm gonna let Vice Mayor Perrella come in a second. I do have a couple of questions. Well, first of all, I just want to point out that you're absolutely correct, Councilperson Erbaum, with what you said, and I think, in my opinion, I think that even goes further to show why CFO Topperfield, you know, deserves this raise. I think that from where we were and how the village was saved, yes, it was, you know, Manager Alou, you know, myself, you know, CFO Topperfield, but Manager Alou and myself, we did a lot, and we tried everything that we could. You know, but CFO Topperfield really came in and he shored up everything and got the audits done and everything. So I think for us to be here, for Tallahassee not to have come and taken us over, for us to, you know, be consistent now and be caught up with the audits and things like that is why, you know, he would deserve this $8,000 raise. And it would be going from $72,000 to $80,000, not the $20,000 that it was, you know, last week when we were talking. So now it's just $8,000. Now I think that is understandable. I don't think that's too much to ask for the work that he did. I would say this. I have one question for you, Councilperson Erbaum. So if you don't want it to be, it was 72 currently. If you don't want it to be 80,000, what do you want it to be at?
My original reaction was to leave it at the 72 until we could establish that, you know, we did make, you know, all efforts to find every possible, not necessarily, you know, the most expertise, but the person who's best for this village, you know what I mean? The very best possible candidate. So if you remember when we went through the last edition of attorney RFQ, right? I was very clear at that time as well that, you know, and I understand we did make a search for a CFO, but as we established, we are in a different place now. It's my understanding, the reason I thought he was interim was because, it's my understanding, he was brought in to shore up the dam, basically, right? Like, stick a thumb in the dike. Like, this was my understanding. So now that we've gone beyond that, I feel strongly that we need to reevaluate and examine accounting services, because we are, again, on stable ground. We're not in an emergency situation any longer. So I'll let Vice Mayor Perrella speak, but I'll let Vice Mayor Perrella speak, and then
We'll do Vice Mayor Perrella, and then we'll do CFO Topperfield, and then if anybody else from the council, an attorney will speak after CFO Topperfield. Vice Mayor.
Yes, well, I echoed everything Councilperson Urban said, and on top of that, I don't know if you guys, the reason why is because what's not clear to me is that there's two things simultaneously here. There's a contract agreement and the raise, right? Now, I don't know if you guys asked for the contract, because Madam Clerk said that she had a copy of the contract that was sent to her. So I did ask for that contract, and it says that it's effective January 1st. So I don't want any raise that's, you know, being set today, for example, or for this coming budget to be retroactive and start from January. So unfortunately, I didn't have the time to actually discuss that with Mr. Harris or call the manager and ask those questions. But since it's a contract, I don't know whether it was signed already. But I think to me, it's kind of like blindfolding you and saying like, okay, this is the raise, but then the contract comes later and say, oh, by the way, the contract is retroactive from January, from January 2023. So that's my, my concern as far as approving any more than, that's being said, or that what it's set at, the 72,000.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
I'm looking to double-check that determination about supermajority. There are two things that the council should be aware of procedurally, depending on how you want to proceed. Like other things that require two readings, you can pass something on first reading and still withhold your vote as a no vote at the final reading, the second reading. In this case, that would consist of voting for something tonight to get passed tonight to allow further conversations and discussions. There's an alternative method to that, if that's more to your liking. The budget that is in front of you is subject to your review. And you have the authority to change any line item in it. You could move to amend the budget as to a particular line item. And if that motion passes, that's what passes on first reading. If you subsequently, prior to second reading, decide that something's been put into place that makes what was originally proposed satisfactory to you, you can come back and amend the first reading budget on second reading. You can amend it, period, but you could certainly restore what you amended out. So in terms of getting something passed on first reading, you have those two different options. Pass it on first reading, but would state that you may not on second, or amend it on first reading and pass it, and then either leave it with the amendment for second reading or possibly amend it back. So those are two procedural routes that would enable you to reach an approval of a first reading budget.
Thank you very much, Attorney Geller. Vice Mayor,
Well, I'll say one thing. I wanted to hear Vice Mayor Perella's thoughts before I spoke again after our discussion. So, I was essentially thinking, okay, all right, I do agree that $8,000 is probably a reasonable amount, without thinking too hard on it to say agree to. However, Vice Mayor Perella has raised another concern of mine. Do we know the answer to his question of whether or not there's a retroactive component to whatever? And then again, the question becomes, what contract is it actually that we're dealing with, et cetera, et cetera. So, now I've got those questions.
I can answer that one, I think, relatively easy. What you're voting on is not a contract. There is not a contract before you. So whether there exists a contract that you would have to approve
We're
or
just
not,
putting these monies in the budget.
if you put monies
Gotcha. Okay.
in the budget,
Yep.
the budget is for the fiscal year beginning
October 1.
October 1st. And there is nothing, at least certainly that I'm aware of, that's in this budget that talks about anything retroactively, whether a contract to approve something retroactively, which includes budget authority going forward from October 1st, exists. If such a contract were put before you and the contract sought retroactive compensation, you would have to separately consider that, and actually, you could not approve that contract without also approving a budget amendment of some kind to create funds to pay a retroactive portion. What's in front of you is not a contract, retroactive or otherwise. It is a budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1st.
Okay, greatly appreciate that clarification. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna go to Councilperson Martin.
Yep.
Right now, just let me say that I haven't seen a CFO contract, so I don't know what's going on. Councilperson Martin.
Okay, so I really get where everyone's coming from. I think it helps sometimes to separate it. In the last budget workshop that we had, where the proposal was paying the contracted account, the CFO, I think 96,000. To me, that was otherworldly, right? And it did seem as though there was some attempt to recoup some of the money that was lost based on what he negotiated for. There was more work than he anticipated, and he was trying to get some sort of compensation for that. And as we stated before, once you contract for an amount, there's really no way to then go back and say, well, I misjudged that, let me get some more. So that's one thing. The budget that we're looking at today, when I think of it, I think, hey, the manager has said that she needs this amount of money in order to provide quality CFO services. And I'm very hesitant to hem up the manager in that way if she's saying that, let's say our current CFO says, hey, I'm not gonna do this anymore. What then will she have to negotiate with to get us those services in an expeditious way that doesn't put us in a similar situation that Councilmember Urban recently stated? So I think if we look at it through those lens, and that we're not supposed to really, I guess we could definitely opine, but we don't dictate what the CFO, we shouldn't dictate what the CFO gets if our manager says that she needs a certain amount to function. However, if we do authorize this amount and then notice that we're not receiving any sort of enhanced services that we were, detailed previously, that there was going to be some oversight as it relates to some issues that were still outstanding, digitization of other things. If we see that those things are not happening, then I think that that's more of a quarrel with the manager as to why the increase was requested, and we're not experiencing or seeing or understanding what is the enhanced level of service that we're receiving. So I say okay to the 80,000 because I speak to the manager, and the manager says that there really is no chance of finding someone at the same rate with the same skill set. And I take that on face value, but I also remember the pause that the initial jump from 72 to 96 had me with, and I'll keep that in mind as I evaluate what is being provided to the city for that increased 80,000. So that's kind of how I'm splitting it apart in my head to say the 80,000 seems reasonable based on the manager's representation.
Perfect.
Mr.
Thank you very much. Well said,
Mayor.
Councilperson Martin. Councilperson would like for Ward?
I ditto. So I couldn't have said it any differently. It's because the manager says that's what I need at this time. I'm not happy with it. I barely know the accountant, but I know he took us out of what we were. He was there. I'm willing to do this for 1 year. This is not permanent, because he did take us out of whatever we were at financially. And, but holding the budget, we can't even do that. We can't wait for it. It's September. We have to report it. She's not here, so I'm not gonna say something that would embarrass her. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna go with her instincts. I'm gonna go with her professionalism. I'm gonna go with her, what she said she needed at this point. And I'm not gonna second guess the city manager, because she's brought us a long way. But that doesn't mean you get to stay. This is a contract, right? This is a contract, right? We're not employing anybody, right? This is a contract. There's no contract. This is part of the budget. It will be like that in perpetuity? No. It won't. It will not. But this is what the gentleman is asking for right now. He's a person, he's got family, he's got responsibilities, and he did take us out of a bad situation. That's the only reason I voted yes, because I think $96,000 is a lot of money for somebody who's not here full-time. I do. But I'm not gonna hold up the process of adopting a budget, timely adopting a budget. It's September, y'all, for this whatever, for this one thing.
second.
I'm not gonna do that.
Okay.
I'm not gonna do that. So while we have our concerns, well, I'm gonna watch you work, sir. I'm gonna watch you work. But it doesn't say you get this in perpetuity. It's just this, in 2024 is the only reason that I voted yes, because I'm just like everybody else. I think it's too high for a little bitty village like this, and it's not even a full-time worker. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Councilperson Martin?
Can I just clarify? It's 80,000, right? Yeah, we say 96, and that always scares me, but yes, 80,000. And also I just want to make sure that I'm correct on this. Even though we approve this $80,000 tonight, we're not saying that it is
It's
this
going-
CFO that receives this $80,000, that's it. Like, it's just 80,000 for a CFO. So there is no contract tonight. There is no contract tonight, and it doesn't say that it has to be CFO Taubenfeld.
You're correct,
Okay.
Councilperson. You are adopting a budget.
A budget.
The budget sets the amount that is available to be paid by the manager. It is not a contract.
It is not. Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay,
Appreciate that.
just a final comment, and then I'll be happy to second a motion to take the vote again. But my final comment is that the residents in this neighborhood who originally approached me to go for this seat, you know, I was reminded, I'm gonna have one vote on this council. But the reason those friends of mine came to me is because people who know me well know that I have a difficult time truly holding my tongue. It's not often difficult to figure out, you know, where my opinions lie. I wear my emotions on my sleeve, and I speak my mind, sometimes to a fault, I will acknowledge. But having said that, I do want to say that I will second guess the manager. Okay? The situation that we found ourselves in, I outlined earlier, that had us on the brink of non-existence. There were 3 people ultimately involved in that, and that was the mayor, not the current mayor, former mayor. That was the attorney, not the current attorney, former attorney. And that was the manager, current manager. So, you know, having witnessed that from this dais and gone through all the emails, and I mean, I know I'm on a first name basis with the director of the Miami-Dade County Commission on Ethics. That's not something I wanted to have as my, you know, one of my accolades. But that was the outcome of all of that. And so because of my experience on this council, I will say that I will second guess the manager. We have to have oversight, as you said, I'm gonna watch you, right? We have to have oversight specifically in the accounting services. I remember when you came on, you acknowledged at the microphone there the precarious situation you were putting yourself in, because you came in to put your reputation on the line. For the record, I'm speaking to the CFO. You really put your reputation on the line, which, again, I do factor into, you know, what we're considering here tonight. So without, you know, beating a dead horse here, I will just say that that experience was as real as it gets. It really was. I never anticipated finding myself in the situation that we found ourselves in on this council. And so I do want to state that as clearly as possible, because while we are on stable ground again, the village does seem to be pointed in the right direction. The ship has been righted, things are level, winds are even. You know, I just do not want us to lose sight of why we're so glad that that's the case, you know. It's great to have things kind of going back to boring again. Drama in government is expensive as all get out and serves no one. So it's nice to have a council, as the mayor always points out, that's got certainly a lot less drama these days than years previous, so.
Mayor,
Thank you very much, Councilperson Urban, Attorney Garrett.
if I might, Councilperson Urban stated you'd be happy to second a motion to revote, but in fact, because it failed, only those on the prevailing side, that being the vice mayor and
Yeah.
yourself, can
Can.
move to reconsider the previous vote, and that we would need a motion to reconsider, and frankly, the only two who could bring that are you
Yes.
two.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to see if everybody has everything out that they want to get out, and then I'll get the motion in a second for the reconsideration. Everybody good?
I want to get something out. So, I always tell Councilman Urban that I love serving with him because I really do love, we're very different, but in a lot of ways very the same. So I do like the idea of like a healthy amount of like skepticism. I think that that's vital. I think that that's why we're here. Definitely not to just take what the manager is saying or the attorney or the CFO, because we owe that to everyone that entrusts us with this really important duty. So with that being said, I say for sure, I am committed to being the ultimate skeptic. I don't want, I second that.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Martin. Appreciate that. Any last questions or comments from the audience? Nobody? Everybody good? Okay. Going to need a motion in a second for reconsideration. It can only come. All right. So motion made by Councilperson Urban, second by Vice Mayor Perella, for this reconsideration vote. Madam Clerk.
No, I did not make a motion. I have not made any motion yet.
Okay. Well, you say I second.
I
earlier.
said I'm sorry, forgive me. I had said I would, using the future tense, I would second a motion too. So,
Okay.
yes, that's.
So do you want Vice Mayor Perella to make the motion?
It makes no difference to me. I believe the attorney said that if that's the case, then yes, that's fine.
So you don't want to make the motion, you just want to second
Only
the
the
motion.
two noes are able to make the motion, is that correct?
That's
Gotcha.
right.
I will make the motion then. Okay, I move to reconsider the vote.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I should have said yes on the record, not nodded my head. We do have a record, so I apologize.
Thank you very much. For clarification, Councilperson Urban, you're making the motion?
Yes, confirmed.
Okay. And Vice Mayor Perella, do I have a second? Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call?
Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Yes.
Councilperson Urban.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perella.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-2. I'm 5-0.
Move to, yes. Yes.
You've only moved to reconsider, so the item is now as if there had been no
No
vote,
vote.
but you've not adopted anything, there's no motion pending, but it is properly back in front of you.
That's right.
Yeah, we need one more, that's why I said we
I'm
need one more.
satisfied with our discussion. I'll move to approve the budget.
Okay, motion by Councilperson Urban to approve the budget. The second can be from anybody.
Second.
Second by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call for the budget?
Roll call. Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Yes.
Councilperson Urban.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perella.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Moving on to,
Yeah.
I'm going, go ahead.
I'm sorry, before we adjourn, I want to put one thing on the record, and I've been looking frantically here. I made the statement that it requires a supermajority to pass. I'm looking for the actual budget section. I'm 100% certain that that's the case in adopting a millage rate in excess of the rolled back rate. I have not found the authority that I'm looking for as I'm searching that says that also applies to adopting a budget, but I spoke up in an abundance of caution so that we do not adopt something improperly. But I don't want it to be clear that it's my opinion. I expressed that, but I'm looking for the authority to back that up. Frankly, as long as I've practiced, I've never seen that one happen before, so I'm not 100% familiar with it. It's moot in view of the vote that you've just taken to reconsider and adopt it, but I don't want to mislead the council, because we'll, be right back in this situation on second reading. I assure you by then, I'll have a definitive answer for you, but
I'm glad I could help
did
you with
wanna
that scout
say
badge,
on the
Mr.
record.
Attorney.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Attorney Geller. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, when we get to the second reading, right before that, we do the special assessment. And I know for that, we do need a supermajority.
But he's still gonna look, yeah.
So,
Remember, I had to get Councilperson Urban, which was vice mayor.
yeah.
Mhm.
And that was for the special,
Anything,
that's for,
better to get it.
yeah, that was for the
That's right.
special assessment, I believe, last
Better
year.
to get sorted out at first reading.
You guys, good and welfare. Anybody have anything they want to talk about? You can come and talk about anything at all. You have 3 minutes, name and address, and the floor is yours. Hearing, seeing none. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Martin. The Village of El Portal first budget hearing for fiscal year 2023-2024 is adjourned at.
Aye. Aye.
All.
All in
yeah,
favor?
no, I said- it's
All in
first.
favor for adjournment?
Oh, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ready to go.
All opposed say nay.
Aye.
That's how you know I thought it was gonna be quicker than it was.
Are we through with the budget?
The meeting is adjourned at 7:43 p.m.